This is Adrian. I'll second it.
All right, motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any more additional discussion, questions, or comments from the board? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin? We'll come back to Mr. Lumpkin. Mr. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston? I'll come back to Ms. Hairston. Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews?
Yes. Okay. This system is muting us automatically.
Yep, same thing here.
I did say yes, and I had to end up hitting *6 to unmute myself, and I was unmuted on my phone. So sorry about that. But yes, Ms. Hairston.
Same here for Mr. Lumpkin. I had to hit the *6 also.
Thank you very much. Ms. Matthews Stinson?
Yes.
And Mr. Weckesser?
Yes.
We have 7 in approval.
The roll having been called, the motion carries. And the action item number 2 is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 3, resolution number 2020-11-1, 2021 annual appropriations. Board trustees' adoption of the 2021 operating and capital budget will establish budget limits for the upcoming year. Trustees' approval of resolution number 2020-11-1 will appropriate the needed funds to carry out the activities approved in the budget documents. Mrs. Mary Stanford provided a detailed explanation in our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Mary is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve resolution number 2020-11-1, fiscal year 2021 annual appropriations.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
This is Adrian. I'll second it.
Seconded by Ms. Hurd. Are there any additional questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mr. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson?
Yes.
And Mr. Weckesser?
Yes.
We have 7 in approval.
Motion having been appropriately, the motion carries, and action item number 3 is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 4, fuel for transit coaches. Ultra low sulfur ULS fuel is used daily to fuel the RTA's diesel bus fleet and RTA's non-revenue diesel vehicles. This procurement is being brought to the board at this time because the current contract with Mansfield Oil Company of Gainesville, Inc. ends December 31st, 2020. This procurement supports RTA core values of quality service and good stewardship of financial resources by ensuring that diesel fuel is available for service and purchased at a fair and reasonable price. Mr. Darren Brown provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Darren is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Gladio Trading and Marketing Company, LP, for ultra low sulfur diesel fuel with the differential of minus 0.0511 on the oil price information service for an estimated award amount of $2,530,542 for the base year, a differential of minus 0.0494 on the Opus for an estimated award of $2,532,880 for option year one, and a differential of minus 0.0475 on the Opus for an estimated amount award of $2,535,540 for option year two, for an estimated grand total of $7,598,962. Actual costs will vary based on the daily Opus price, the number of gallons purchased, and quarterly adjustments made to the Ohio Petroleum Activity Tax. Funding for this procurement is included in RTA's operating budget.
Okay, the motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Prince.
Second by Mr. Corrado. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We
The
have
motion-
7 yeses.
Thank you. Motion having been appropriately made and seconded and the roll having been called, the motion is carries and action item number 4 is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 5, landscaping and grounds maintenance. The purpose of this procurement is to obtain the services of a qualified firm to provide landscaping and grounds maintenance to RTA properties. This project is consistent with core values of stewardship and quality service by maintaining and improving our environment and facilities. RTA attracts more people and promotes our dedication to customers as we invest in their experience at all RTA locations. The successful bidder is required to provide weekly landscaping and grounds maintenance for 10 months of each year to ensure a clean, professional image of all RTA properties. The areas to be serviced and maintained include the main campus, transit centers, substation properties, turnarounds, and turnbacks. Services include mowing and trimming, mulching, trimming, and maintaining shrubs, general bed maintenance, providing seasonal color, weed control, aerating, fertilizer, and insect spray. Mr. Brown provided a detailed explanation at our committee's meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. Mr. Brown is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award for 5 years to Lamanna's Lawn and Landscaping for landscaping and grounds maintenance for the annual cost of $74,100 plus a 15% contingency of $55,575 for additional work related to the scope of work, but not included in normal services, for a total cost of $426,000. I'm sorry, for $426,75,000. This procurement will be funded with operating funds.
This is Sharon Hairston. I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Could I get a clarification on the number? The document that was sent to us, that the The final number was 426,075.
That is correct. My
Okay,
is $426,075.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the clarification I have. Are there any other questions, comments, or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Matthew Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Buckles.
Yes.
We have 7 in agreement.
Thank you. The motion having been appropriately made and seconded and the roll having been called, the motion carries and action item number 5 is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 6, project management professional services. The purpose of this procurement is to contract with a firm to provide RTA with a qualified consultant with general and specific expertise to assist with managing the various capital projects included in the budget. This project is consistent with RTA's core value of stewardship as we commit to managing our time, talent, and resources efficiently and responsibly. A qualification-based procurement method was used where criteria other than price determined the most qualified firm. Pricing was requested after the evaluation committee selected the top firms. When RTA identifies a project task, the project management firm will be requested to submit a proposal for the said task at the contracted hourly rate. RTA will retain the right not to use the firms under contract if an agreement on the proposal cannot be reached. RTA anticipates awarding a 5-year contract with 2 one-year options. Mr. Rosinski presented the action item at our committee's meeting, and the associated details are included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Not hearing any, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to approve contract awards to LTK Engineering Services with an emphasis on electrical systems infrastructure, to Resources International, Inc., with an emphasis on major construction project management, and John Comiskey Consulting with an emphasis on general project management services for the hourly rates specified for years 1 through 5 and 2 option years. Total amounts will not exceed 5% of annual budgeted amounts for capital projects. This procurement will be partially funded with federal and operating funds.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Adrian. I'll
I'll
second it.
second that one.
I didn't hear who was first. I hope the secretary did.
I believe it was Ms. Hurd.
Okay, motion seconded by Ms. Hurd. Is there any additional questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Matthew Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 7 in approval.
Thank you. The motion having been appropriately made and seconded and the roll having been called, the motion carries and action item number 6 is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 8, Administrative Employee Compensation Guide. Periodically, if not annually, the Administrative Employee Compensation Guide is reviewed and adjusted. A recommendation has been made to the Chief Executive Officer to adjust the current compensation guide across the board by 2%. This recommendation is informed by data review from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Consumer Price Index. There are no implied or expressed guarantees regarding wage increases. Dr. Brenda Thomas presented the action item at our committee meeting, and the specific details are included in today's board package. Brenda is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move to approve RTA's 2021 Administrative Employee Compensation Fund.
We have a
Mr.
motion,
Chairman, I second.
second by Ms. Hairston. Is there any additional discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Matthew Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Wekesser.
Yes.
We have 7 approving.
Thank you. Motion having been appropriately made and seconded and the roll having been called, the motion carries and action item number 8 is approved. Did we skip over number 7 or or are we not presenting that today?
Yes, sir. The Planning Committee will be presenting that next.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I also have a finance update report as well. At our meeting, Ms. Stanforth presented October 2020 financial statements. Year-to-date, October 2020 indicates a gain of $10.2 million after RTA's local capital charge. The gain is primarily due to the funding received from the federal government as part of the CARES Act. Sales tax received for August 2020 was up about $200,000 from last year and $300,000 from current budget. Year-to-date, August 2020, receipts are up about $735,000 from last year and $1 million from current budget. During COVID, it is exceptional that amounts received continue to improve. All financial details and information have been included in today's board package. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, and who is presenting for the Planning Committee?
Who's doing that?
Or is it me?
Jared's not.
In the chair's absence, typically the vice president will present.
Does he have a script?
Okay. Let me,
John, did you get a script?
I did not for that one, I don't believe. That,
Dave, would you like me to
One
wing
second.
the action item?
yes, I think we can do that. I don't see any problem with doing that. So let's,
Happy to do it.
before you start, Mark, that for the minutes, Madam Secretary, that again, the board approved an agenda prior to today's meeting. And the agenda had action item number 7 coming between, surprisingly, action items number 6 and number 8. So I'd like the minutes to reflect that we're doing this out of the order that's on the agenda. That's no problem. It's just that it should be reflected in the minutes that we did not follow the order that they were set forth in the approved agenda. And Chris Connor, you tell me if I need a motion or anything in that regard. I don't think so, but I'll defer to you.
I don't believe it's substantive enough that it would require a vote.
Okay. Well, then let's just proceed with my comment in the record, please. Go ahead, Mark.
And well, and I was going to say I actually have a narrative here now. If I could, I mean, but feel free, Mark. I mean, you're one of my favorite people to hear presenting things.
No, sir. You're an officer.
No, John, that's why you wear the crown.
We're gonna have to have one of these meetings in person so that I can actually wear that and wield the scepter. All right, so I'll go on here. The Finance Personnel Planning Committees met for a jointly held meeting on November 17th. As a result, the Planning Committee is recommending one action item for the board's consideration. Action item number 7, web redesign. Mr. Polachicchio explained that the RTA is looking to redesign its website. The purpose of this redesign is to improve the agency's website by focusing on 3 key areas. 1, mobile responsiveness that allows the website to be easily usable and scalable for mobile phone, desktop, and other devices. 2, user-centered design that is intuitive, streamlined, and simple to navigate. And 3, accessible design and development that is compliant with ADA and web content accessibility guidelines. RTA's recommended vendor has a successful experience working with transit agency websites and applications and a history of delivering website backends with user-friendly interfaces that require minimal knowledge to maintain. This upgrade is necessary to increase RTA's website performance as RTA has outgrown its current solution performance and capacity. If approved, the new website is expected to go live by the end of 2021. Mr. Polachicchio provided a detailed presentation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package, and Mr. Polachicchio is somewhere in the vicinity to answer any questions that you may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendations of the Planning Committee, I move to award a contract to Echidna Corp., OA Digital Echidna, for $255,000 plus support and maintenance of $10,000 for 1 year for a total of $265,000 plus 4 years of optional support and maintenance at $10,000 per year for a total of $40,000 for a grand total award of $305,000. This procurement will be funded partially through federal grant funds.
Motion's been made.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Weckerser. Are there any additional questions, comments?
Everyone still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I can't.
Okay. Can call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckerser.
Yes.
We have 7 approving.
Thank you. The motion having been appropriately made and seconded and the roll called, the motion carries and action item number 7 is approved.
And Mr. President, one other item. At the committee meeting, Mr. Polachicchio provided a summary document of recent activities in the Customer and Business Development Department. He shared TapPay, RTA's new fare payment system, continues to see exceptional growth since launching in May, with over 5,000 customers currently subscribed. He also shared that all onboard vehicle payment readers went live on November 16th, including the launch of retail outlets where customers can utilize cash to purchase and load passes to their Tap Pay accounts. And that will conclude my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, John, and thank you for filling in for Ms. Howard. Up next is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to just defer to the report I sent out last week and answer any questions if there are any. And beyond that, just ask everyone to be careful as the weather changes here this evening and into tomorrow. And if you live near an RTA bus route, please stay the hell away from our buses because they have enough trouble remaining on schedule during inclement weather.
Very good. All right. Any old business to come before the board at this time? Hearing none, I'll move to new business. Is there any new business to come before the board at this time? The only comment I'll make in both old and new business is to inform the board that the Ohio legislature did extend the time for public bodies like this to continue to hold their meetings remotely. And so I appreciate everybody's adjusting their schedule so that we could sneak this one in November. The original deadline was midnight tonight, but that's now been extended. So at least for the foreseeable future, we'll continue to hold these meetings remotely. Has anyone got a question or a comment from Mr. Kennard?
I just wanted to, the extension is effective through June 30th, 2021. I don't know if the timing was related to the hope of the vaccine being or the vaccines being widely available. But that's when I presume that that you could meet virtually. You can determine that you want to meet in person again anytime between now and that end date.
Thank you, Chris. And we'll continue to monitor that and make that decision at the appropriate time. But it's nice to know that we have that leeway of at least through the June board meeting, continuing to meet remotely. Did anyone sign up for public comment today?
No, sir.
Very good. Do we have board member comments or announcements? And we'll start with me. I have none, other than to repeat Mark's admonition, stay safe out there. John?
My only comment is, Mark, I would like to take you up on that offer to drive the bus now under these wicked conditions to see how that works out. But outside of that, I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving and maintain safety and distance from me as I drive a 40-foot bus somewhere in the city of Dayton today.
Come on down.
Please don't.
Looks like Vince is saying no, he has nothing.
Here I am. I didn't hear you. Yeah, I have it really doesn't have much to do with our board, but all my life I've been trying to grow a ponytail. And so I've become real jealous of Mark. All my attempts to do it have failed, as you on video. So I just want to pass that comment on, and that's really sincere because I never was able to do it.
Thank you, Vince. Sharon Hairston.
I can't follow either one of those. No comment.
Nope. Thank you, Sharon. Adrian.
No comment. No comment.
Thank you. Belinda?
Absolutely no.
Okay. And finally, Tom?
No comment here either, thanks.
All right, very good. Okay, that takes care of board comments and announcements. And I'll again ask the assembly at this time. Hearing nothing, the chair adjourned. Would remind everybody that our next regularly scheduled board meeting is January in the new year, and committee meetings, joint committee meetings, December 15. Again, everyone stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.